Have you ever felt that no matter how calm or rational you try to be, some people still find a way to push your buttons? They interrupt you mid-sentence, dismiss your ideas, or talk over you as if your voice doesn't matter. I've seen this countless times, not only in boardrooms or family arguments, but even in the simplest conversations. You try to stay composed, but deep down, something in you starts to boil. And before you know it, your peace, that quiet space inside you, is gone. I want you to pause for a second and think about this. How many times have you walked away from a conversation feeling angry, misunderstood, or disrespected, and later wished you had responded differently? I've been there. I've seen countless clients go through it too. Leaders, parents, teachers, everyday people who genuinely want to communicate better, yet keep finding themselves in the same emotional traps. One of my clients, a young entrepreneur from New York, once told me, "I keep losing my cool in meetings. I don't want to yell, but when people ignore my point, I just snap." He wasn't a bad person. He was simply reacting like most of us do to a feeling of being unseen. And I told him what I'm about to tell you now. Power isn't in the volume of your voice, it's in the calm behind your words. That's where Stoicism, the ancient Greek philosophy I've devoted my life to teaching, becomes surprisingly modern. Because Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or becoming cold. It's about mastery, not denial. It teaches us that respect isn't demanded through dominance, it's inspired through dignity. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, ruled one of the greatest empires in history without ever needing to shout. He once wrote, "If someone can show me that I'm wrong, I will change. For I seek the truth, not victory." That single sentence carries more power than 1,000 arguments. Because it shows that real strength lies not in control over others, but in control over oneself. So what if you could speak in a way that made people stop, listen, and respect you, without ever raising your voice? What if you could stand your ground, express your truth, and still keep your peace? That's what this video is all about. Over the years, working with thousands of people, from corporate executives to everyday individuals just trying to live a more grounded life, I've noticed one universal truth. People who command respect don't fight for it, they embody it. They carry an energy that says, "I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it." And that's exactly what Stoic communication is, a balance between clarity and calm, conviction and compassion. In this video, I'll share with you 8 powerful phrases, simple but deeply rooted in Stoic wisdom, that can completely shift the way others perceive and respond to you. They're not tricks, not manipulative techniques, but expressions of inner strength. Each of these phrases acts like a small mirror, reflecting who you are and what you stand for, even when the world around you gets noisy. I still remember one of my first mentors in Stoicism telling me, "Words are like arrows. They don't need to be loud to be sharp." That line changed how I spoke to people forever, because once you learn to speak with intention, your presence itself begins to quiet the room. People listen, not because you demand attention, but because you earn it through composure. Now, I'm not here to promise that life will suddenly become peaceful, or that everyone will start treating you with respect overnight. The world is unpredictable. People will still misunderstand you, criticize you, even test your patience. But the beauty of Stoicism is this: when you can't control the storm outside, you learn to control the calm inside. And from that calm, every word you speak carries weight. So today, as we begin this journey together, I want to invite you to listen not just with your ears, but with your inner stillness. These 8 phrases you're about to learn, they're not just words, they're practices. Each one, when used consciously, becomes a small act of self-respect, a reminder that you can stand tall without shouting, lead without controlling, and earn respect simply by being rooted in yourself. Let's begin. 1. I'd prefer to end this conversation here. I remember a woman I once worked with, a therapist from Chicago who struggled with her teenage son. Every argument ended the same way: shouting, slammed doors, and silence for days. One evening, after learning about Stoic communication, she tried something new. When her son began yelling, instead of defending herself or raising her voice, she took a deep breath and calmly said, I'd prefer to end this conversation here. Then she walked away. She told me later that the silence that followed was uncomfortable, but peaceful. And for the first time, her son came back, not to fight, but to talk. You see, this phrase isn't about escaping, it's about choosing peace over chaos. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Ending a toxic conversation is not weakness, it's wisdom. It says, my peace matters more than winning this argument. If you've ever felt trapped in endless debates, remember, you can't control how others act, but you can control when to walk away. And sometimes, that quiet step back is the loudest statement of all. 2. That's your opinion, and I respect it, but I don't share it. This one, I'll be honest, changed my life. Years ago, I worked with a young man who constantly sought approval from his boss, his parents, even his friends. Every time someone disagreed with him, he felt like he had to defend himself to prove that he was right. Until one day, I asked him, what would happen if you didn't? He looked confused, so I told him, next time when someone challenges you, just say, that's your opinion, and I respect it, but I don't share it. And stop there. He tried it at work. His manager criticized his idea in front of everyone. Normally he'd fight back, but that day he simply said the phrase calmly, looking his boss in the eye. The room went silent and something shifted. The manager paused, nodded, and moved on. He told me later, it was the first time I felt free. That's what Stoicism is about, freedom through composure. You don't have to convince the world to see things your way. You just need to stand quietly in your truth. Respect doesn't mean agreement, it means balance between firmness and grace. When you can disagree without hostility, you rise above the noise. You remind the world that strength doesn't need to shout. 3. My emotions are my responsibility, not yours. This might be the hardest phrase to live by, but also the most liberating. I often ask my students, who controls your peace, you or the people around you? Most pause for a long time before answering. The truth is, most of us hand over our peace to others without realizing it. We let someone's words ruin our day, or someone's mood control our feelings. But the Stoics taught a radical idea: no one can make you angry without your permission. One of my clients, a nurse working in emergency care, used to break down after every tough shift. She'd say, people are so rude, so ungrateful. I give them everything and they still lash out. I told her, you can't control their pain, but you can control whether you carry it home. So she began repeating this phrase, my emotions are my responsibility, not theirs. Every time a patient yelled, she'd take a slow breath, remind herself, this isn't mine to hold. A few months later, she said something that still stays with me. I stopped expecting people to act right, and somehow I became calmer, kinder, and stronger. That's the power of self-mastery. It's not about being indifferent, it's about choosing what deserves your energy. When you take ownership of your emotions, you stop being a prisoner of other people's behavior. 4. I understand your point, but I disagree. Let's be honest, most of us fear disagreement. We worry that if we speak up, we'll lose connection, respect, or even love. So we stay quiet, even when our heart says otherwise. But the Stoic path invites something different. Speak your truth with calm conviction. You don't need to attack or defend, you just need to be clear. A friend of mine, a teacher from San Francisco, once told me about a staff meeting where a senior colleague dismissed her idea in front of everyone. Her hands were shaking, but she remembered this phrase. "I understand your point, but I disagree." She said it softly, not as a challenge, but as a statement of self-respect, and the entire tone of the room changed. Because real confidence doesn't need to overpower, it simply stands firm in silence. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you can disagree without resentment, you become that kind of free. You stop reacting and start responding. And in that space, people begin to listen differently, because they sense something rare, someone who speaks from clarity, not ego. 5. I don't think that's appropriate. It sounds polite, doesn't it? But make no mistake, this is a boundary wrapped in calm. It says, "I know what's right for me and I don't need to justify it." Picture this. You're in a meeting and someone suggests something that goes against your values or just doesn't sit right with you. Instead of debating or explaining, you take a breath and say, "I don't think that's appropriate." That's it. No anger, no defense, just quiet confidence. I once worked with a team leader in Austin who was constantly overloaded with tasks because she was too nice to say no. Until one day, she simply said, "I don't think that's appropriate for me right now." And that was it. The request stopped, not because she was harsh, but because her tone carried clarity. Seneca once said, "He who respects himself will always be respected." That's exactly what this phrase communicates. When you respect your boundaries, others learn to respect them too. You don't need to raise walls, just your standards. 6. I don't react, I choose to respond. If there's one sentence that captures the essence of Stoicism, it's this one. Reaction is instinct, response is wisdom. One of my coaching clients, an ER doctor from New York, once told me, "It's not the patients that drain me, it's my own emotions I can't control." Every time a patient or family member lashed out, he took it personally, until he learned a Stoic practice called the pause. A brief moment between the trigger and the reply. Now, before he says anything, he takes a breath and asks himself, am I reacting from ego or responding from awareness? And that pause changes everything. Because when you react, the situation controls you, but when you respond, you control the situation. The Stoics believed that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom. This phrase isn't just philosophy, it's a life skill. Try it once. Take one calm breath before you speak. You'll see how composure doesn't make you weaker, it makes you undeniably powerful. 7. Let's talk when we can do it respectfully. This one is for the moments when emotions are running high, when the room feels like it could explode at any second. It's not avoidance, it's leadership. I remember working with a single mother from Texas who often clashed with her teenage daughter. She said, "Every argument turns into a shouting match." Neither of us hears the other, so I suggested she try something new. The next time her daughter yelled, she calmly said, "Let's talk when we can do it respectfully." And then she walked away. At first her daughter slammed the door, but a few hours later she knocked softly and said, "Mum, I'm sorry. Can we talk?" The mother smiled and told me later, it was the first time we actually talked instead of fought. That's the power of emotional boundaries. The Stoics taught, you can't control how others act, but you can control how you respond. When you say this phrase, you're not backing down, you're protecting the sacred space where calm conversations can happen. And the amazing thing, when you set the tone of respect, others eventually match it. 8. I don't need to win, I just need peace. This is my favorite. It's the statement of someone who's truly awake. In a world where everyone's trying to be right, those who know when to let go are the strongest ones in the room. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Peace comes when you stop arguing about small things." I once watched a young couple argue in a relationship session over who forgot to wash the dishes. Both were frustrated, both wanted to be understood. So I asked them, "Do you want to be right, or do you want to be at peace?" They both laughed, and suddenly the tension dissolved. Because the moment you realize peace matters more than pride, you stop fighting battles that don't serve your soul. The Stoics didn't seek victory in the outside world, they sought tranquility within. They knew that every argument won at the cost of your peace is not a victory, it's a loss. When you embody this phrase, you step into a deeper strength. You no longer need validation, you no longer need to prove. Your calm becomes your authority. Life will always test your calm. There will be people who misunderstand you, moments that shake you, and conversations that tempt you to lose control. But here's what the Stoics knew. You can't control the world, only your response to it. Peace isn't the absence of conflict. Peace is the ability to stand in the middle of the storm and stay centered. When you know when to speak and when to stay silent, when to walk away instead of fight, you hold a kind of power that no status, no title, and no noise can ever match. The quiet strength within you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Peace comes when you stop arguing with reality." So every day, take a small moment to return to yourself. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, "Today I will respond, not react. Today I will respect myself and let the world mirror that respect back to me." If what you heard today made you feel a little lighter, a little more awake, then I want to personally invite you to stay with us here on Stoic Awakening More. Because this isn't just a YouTube channel, it's a community. A space for people who are learning, just like you and me, to live with clarity, calm, and quiet confidence. Each video here is a step deeper into Stoic wisdom, not as something ancient or distant, but as a living guide for modern life. So take a moment right now to subscribe and join our growing family of thinkers, dreamers, and seekers of peace. Hit like if this message resonated with you, and share it with someone who might need a gentle reminder that peace is still possible in a noisy world. Thank you for being here, truly. And remember, your calm is your crown, your stillness is your strength. And this journey of awakening, it's only just beginning. I'll see you in the next video, right here on Stoic Awakening More, where together we awaken the quiet power within.